5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, everybody on the ATYL Media channels on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, as well as here on the TikTok account for Slide Job. Sal, it is the Splash and Dash Morning Show. We are ready to rock and roll on a Tuesday morning. A little bit of a delayed show. We had some interesting things happening early in the week this week, but we also, this is a busy time of year for me, and it's just I got confused on what day I was going to draw this giveaway. So we will draw the giveaway at the top of the hour at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So if you have been a part of Sal's giveaway on Instagram, we posted 2 posts, one on September the 21st, and then another one on, 2 days ago. That would be the 28th. I posted twice. Keep it fresh. We're going to give away this Martin Truex Jr. 2004 Busch Series Championship Edition diecast. It'll have a chance to go into your collection. Not just that, but as you will also have an opportunity with the diecast to have a $25 gift card to NASCARD.Shop, as well as a stand for this diecast, plus 2 others from Benzik Designs. So keep that in mind as we get through the day. I have it's an Instagram exclusive giveaway. So for those who are on other platforms, if you have until 9 a.m. to participate, head on over to Sal's Instagram at SlyJobSal, and you will find these videos. You tag yourself. There's some rules, some contest rules. Head on in there, follow the instructions in the captions, and then we will draw a winner at 9 a.m. I have all the tools pulled up. I had to find all the tools this morning to pick things and name of wheels and the whole thing. So we're doing it. But to start the show today, I'm going to roll into the Cup Series almost immediately, right away. Chase Elliott steals one at Kansas. What was probably one of the best last lap green, white checker thrillers of the year. This felt like, Atlanta, when Daniel Suarez won. Like this was a good finish. Now I can't say much for Dennis Hamlin. I thought that was a crazy idea to do what he did. Bubba, I would be just as mad if I'm in Bubba's seat. I would be very upset about the way that one shook out and all that beating and banging on the final lap to give it up to a Chevrolet. So kind of crazy, right? Kind of crazy that they would do that. The Zane Smith flip working backwards here. How does that happen? And of course it happens to Zane Smith, but how does that work? John Hunter Nemechek is coming up the track and he gets into the left rear, and that's not a good deal. But I've never seen a car get upended. I feel like there was some wheel hopping happening where the right front and the left rear of those 2 cars make contact and it whoops over. They ride each other up a little bit, and that's what pops the car up in the air. I don't know. It's crazy. And then it's just sideways. And it stayed sideways for such a long amount of time that it was almost, if he wasn't okay, I wouldn't say this, but he was okay. It was almost comical how long the car slid along the outside wall. It was like something out of, the Twilight Zone. So I don't know. For me, it was crazy to see. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like that in the time that I've been watching NASCAR since I was a wee one. Yeah, he heard Skate came out and he was like, "Yo, let me kickflip up onto the wall. Let me do the Nollie Ollie 360 right now." I was telling people that it was like, he saw something on the ground and he just had to get a closer look. He's right down. Yeah, Chase Just, the right place at the right time, though, to win that race. The 11 was the fastest car all day by a long shot. His pit crew, the 11 pit crew, not doing him many favors there in the closing stages to put him in a position to have to throw that move up onto the 23. I don't know. If that's me, I'm going to maybe he doesn't regret anything, though. According to Access Detrimental, he doesn't regret anything. This is the Denny Hamlin. Playoff Hamlin is in full swing. They didn't do a great job of showing him march through the field because they were so focused on the battle for the lead. You could see it kind of developing during the restart. He jumps down really low, and then he's able to pick off a couple of spots. And then as they're coming through 3 and 4 on the final lap, the way he was able to like just so methodically and tactically stay on that bottom line and let that situation develop ahead of him and not get involved in it. And then thank God Kansas had a wide apron at the bottom, right? Because that's where it was going down. Denny tried to throw the block late, but they were door to door, and you're not going to lift. Chase ain't going to lift. So it was wild. It was wild. I thought it was one of the best finishes of the year. I mean, whether you like the way Denny raced it or not, it surely created an entertaining finish, a photo kind of finish for a headline. I thought, that was cool. Yep, pan the camera out a tad and you can see it. Yeah, you could kind of see it out of the corner of the broadcast. Just if you're really on the replay, if you're really looking, you're looking around the corner to see Chase doing his thing. Just that little sky blue Kelly Blue Book colored front little nose there poking around. You could see it a little bit, but I thought Chase was going to be sent into the infield live when there was contact made watching. Yeah, Denny didn't give it away. I mean, he gave it away when he was battling with Bubba, but he certainly come down and gave Chase a shot to try to give himself a chance one more time to win. I think it's a situation. I agree. Adam said, why should Denny care though? Bubba would have done the same. I think any driver in Denny's situation would have done what Denny did. I do. 60th win on the line, winning your in format where you advance to the next round of the Cup Series playoffs. Roval is the next race. So if you advance, it means even more because then you don't have to worry about running, if the Roval isn't your thing, and it ain't a lot of guys' things, it gets a little bit easier for you to have a good time in the next round. So I heard Trey scream, stay away from him, stay away from him. Those mics were hot at the end of that race. Yeah, I saw that. Ty Gibbs was kind of hanging out down on the bottom of the apron as they came back across the start-finish line. He had been involved in an incident earlier on with it might have been the Zane Smith wreck where at the very end, everybody's looking Zane Smith's up sideways on his door. But I think somebody tagged Ty Gibbs as well, and he was having some issues and had some damage, and I think was just looking to limp it to the end. He had a front row seat for it, though, I'll tell you. He almost was in a position where somebody was ready to blow through the back of him if they had to race it out like any further than where they were. How did Chase strategic tire call during the race caution contribute to his win in overtime? I don't know. He had fresher tires. That's how it contributed. I think if we saw any driver do this, everyone would complain that they run out of talent or Denny's a hack, and I don't subscribe to that. If Bubba did it, people would be in thralls right now. But I think it's just, if what they say is true and Denny had no power steering and the car's getting tight and he's wheeling that thing around the track just with his 41-year-old arms just along for the ride, the way he handles it, like if you go back years and years, like we remember as fans and as pundits, we remember the things of the past like they happened yesterday. But these drivers, week over week, they're washing that slate. Like, I saw people online who were like, oh man, this is what Denny does in 2016. Like, bro, kids, Denny doesn't remember what he did in 2016. And if he does remember, he doesn't care. And that's what all the drivers are like. Like, you think Kyle Busch is thinking about all the times he wrecked guys when he's getting wrecked back in the back of the field? He's not. He did make a comment about Kyle Busch keeping it out of the wall. It's a shame. The downfall of Kyle Busch will be written about for generations to come. A shame. I do think Bubba needs to know that Denny is the driver of the 11 during the race, not team. I think he knows. I mean, how often do you see guys flipping the bird out to their teammates? I mean, they are Toyota teammates after all, too. So it's like there may be that aspect. I don't know how really close that Toyota teammate or that manufacturer teammate bond is. What's up, Cole? So are you guys looking forward to Charlotte Roval? We'll talk about Charlotte Roval here in a few. Oh, new configuration too, or it's the newer configuration too. Do you think Bubba will race Denny differently, or will they move on by next weekend? I mean, I don't think there's anything malicious that's going to come of this between these two guys. But I think if Bubba has a shot to win and it takes riding on the 11 a little bit to get the win, Bubba's going to ride on the 11 a little. He said in his interview, I'm going to race guys the way they race me. And that's the ultimate, give me a pass answer, but it's also the right answer. I thought Bubba handled the situation really well. And I'm not like a Bubba Wallace apologist. I understand that people like him. They don't like him. They like whatever. I thought he handled it really well after the fact. I would have had both hands out the window flipping the bird to Denny if that was me in that seat. And I think anybody else in that situation, if they're getting rode up the track like that by someone they consider to be a teammate and somebody that they can kind of rely on, manufacturer, whatever, I would have had both hands out the window. It would have been rough. I agree 100%. It's been nice to see that transition. Also, too, thoughts and prayers to the Reddick family right now. Their little one is in the hospital. So if you're into that, if you feel like you have a connection to faith or to a higher power, make sure you're keeping them in your thoughts and your prayers today. Their son is I know his wife posted something on Instagram. It feels weird because we don't know these people, but I know they posted something on Instagram and they're having a little bit of a situation there. So thinking of them as well today. Tony Stewart would have done the same thing. Kozlowski, yeah, everybody would do the same thing. I don't think there's any, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that another driver wouldn't have done exactly what happened in that situation. I don't think you can sit there and talk about, oh my God, Denny this, Denny that. It's any driver who's in that situation to win his 60th Cup race, to not have to care about the Roval. You drive it a little harder, you send it a little deeper. It would have been a great finish if they just went through it and drag raced it out on the front stretch. That would have been crazy town. It would have been a 3-wide finish at the line, but well, that's a comparison you can make. Did Dale use the bumper all the time? Well, it's been a couple of years since Dale, but you make a good point where you live by the bumper and you live by the bumper and you die by the bumper in certain situations, and you get away with it when you can, and then sometimes it comes back to bite you. Well, that's the other part of it too. Denny Hamlin is in a win right now mentality. because he knows, and I agree with this 100%. I was actually talking to somebody at the racetrack this weekend. If Denny Hamlin doesn't win the championship this year, I have a really hard time believing that as his career winds down on these shorter term contracts that he's signing at Joe Gibbs Racing, I have a really hard time thinking he's going to be able to capture that moving ahead in the short-term future. I'm not saying it's impossible. Certainly nothing is impossible, but it makes the most sense that this would be the one shining moment to kind of capture that before you get yourself in a position where, I don't know, you're on a 2-year deal or a 1-year deal, and you're fighting for resourcing. And I mean, I don't think they'll be in that situation until many more races down the road. But yeah, I think the strategy changes too for a lot of contenders or a lot of drivers and competitors if they do decide to change the playoff format, which is on the notes sheet here as we go along today. We're talking about playoff changes again. I feel like we talk about this every year. So in lieu of silly season, we're going to have playoff silly season, where everyone's going to talk about the playoff changes all the time until they do change. So that'll be interesting to see how that unpacks. If Denny had a win this round already, he doesn't dive it in quite the same as he did. Oh, 100%. 100%. That's a desperation move to win a race. And I don't mean that as a slight. Like, you see the light at the end of the tunnel. If I do this, that light gets brighter, and I can get to the end of that tunnel. But just as quickly, it gets snuffed out, and you make a little slip. And you got to remember too, like, I think we as fans, myself included, on some occasions, you get caught up in the fact that, like, these guys are running 150, 170 mile an hour, Oh, thank you, brother. This button up, I'm trying to do a button up haul. I love a good button up. I found this in where was I? I was in Mooresville for a little vacation. I go down there every so often. I go pop around, check things out. And I was in a thrift store or an antique store. And I found this shirt in the back of one of them stalls there. It was in the same place as Booth 34 Diecast. Shout out Booth 34. They're fantastic. I bought some things from them over there too. But I found this in the back of like one of those like antique stalls for like $10. And I love going down to North Carolina. The best thrifting in the world happens in North Carolina. Oh, absolutely. I'm hoping next time I go, I do like a little shop with me vlog. I don't know when the hell I'm going back down to Charlotte, but spend a little time. But it's one of my favorite things to do outside of going to race shops is going to all the thrift stores and going to all the antique shops. It is the thing to do. If you have some time to do it, do it. I mean, keep your eyes wide open. Like, the tents are great, but if you're at the racetrack, if you're going for a Roval, Joe, like, it's great. But if you don't want to get spun up in a twist with a million people, there's nothing new is a thrift. These people don't sponsor me. I mean, I don't care. They're great businesses that I visited and have great things. That's one of the places you can go. Vintage. So when you think vintage, think what the price tag is on that, but they have a lot of things. So keep that in mind. And then the name of it's going to escape me, but they have like these old like sawmills and like factory buildings, and they turn them into antique shops. There's one in by Barcelona. There's Barcelona Wine Burger Bar over there. That's the one where Booth 34 is, and that's the one where I found the shirt. And I found about 50 million other things, but I only came home with about 10 million things. But I love a good thrift in Mooresville. It's good. And there's good, and you go down over there too. There's good food over there. You get a burger. That's where the barbecue spot is with the Dale bus inside of it. It's right around the corner over there. That's where you go over to Trackhouse Motorplex, the whole thing. or GoPro Motorplex, whatever they're calling that these days. Go hit some go-karts, get a button up. I want to get some more button ups for next year. I really leaned heavy in to the Gordon one I picked up, and then I leaned heavy into the Dale button up that I have, the 3-card one. So I am, listen, I'm not a Chase Elliott fan by any stretch, but anytime a mustache like that ends up in victory lane, the ladies go wild and it's a good time. You know what I mean? Come on. I'm happy for him. I think Chase has gotten a lot of undeserved criticism this year for running one of what I think is his best years, and just the consistency that team has had and being able to finish the way they have. It's been so swept under the rug. They deserve to win more and have more spotlight, and I'm here for it, man. I know you're a big Chase guy, so I'm happy for him. I am. Would I have liked to have seen Denny win? Yeah, I would have. I thought the headline would have been crazy if he won that race, because I do think he's on a charge to a championship, but we'll see what happens. For those of you who don't know Sloppy Joe, big Chase guy, big Braves guy, big TikTok guy, big opening boxes guy. I want to start opening boxes. I have a card pack here that I'm supposed to open too. Upper Deck. What is this? This is an Upper Deck a 1995 Upper Deck Motorsports trading card pack. Garage Guy Chase sent this to me for correctly choosing the first caution at Bristol in Josh Berry's Up in Smoke tire thing. So I have to open this pack at some point also. But yeah, dude, I'm amped for Chase. I'm amped for Hendrick. I didn't love what I saw out of the 24. So this isn't a Hendrick podcast, or a Hendrick morning show, but I didn't love what I saw out of the 24 team this week. And I have a 24 tire sitting right here. I like the 24. Grew up a Gordon fan. So that was a little disappointing. Larson was running good in the first stretch of the race, and then it kind of felt like it petered off there at the end a little bit. Oh, you're going to do the Chase Elliott stash? It's a choice. Some people can rock it. If I shaved my face to just have a mustache, I would walk outside into the general populace and they would immediately throw me into prison. Just the Elliott stash, TM, verbal trademark. Like print me a t-shirt with just the Elliott stash in that Napa blue. If the 2311 is a true open team, I do want to see an open team win a championship. That'd be crazy. 45 was looking good at the end there. Let's run down real quick. Chase Elliott, your winner, obviously. Denny Hamlin finishes P2. Christopher Bell, Chase Briscoe, Bubba Wallace. Kyle Larson brought it home 6th. So, I was just saying that it kind of petered off. And to peter off and not have as good of a run at the end and finish 6th, that's me saying it because he was running up at the front for pretty broad stretches of that race battling. Tyler Reddick finishes 7th. Brad Keselowski in 8th. William Byron in 9th. And 10th place, Shane Van Gisbergen, the Roval man. First top 10 on a traditional oval in his Cup Series career. Mr. Shane Van Gisbergen. Shane Van Gisbergen, give him the glizzy. You guys better watch out, because if Shane Van Gisbergen figures out ovals, everybody's in trouble. Everyone is cooked. If he starts getting even remotely competitive at ovals, because that's all he needs to hold on to the points to pick the points up that he missed this year to really run for a pretty solid championship run. I don't know, man. I don't make the rules. But no, it's a great run for Chase Elliott. I know, I say this all the time, and when the Hendrick cars run well, when the Gibbs cars run well, the sport runs well because it keeps things competitive. And I think when you have guys, especially like Chase Elliott, who are fan favorites, industry favorites, it's good for the sport. I love seeing Ryan Blaney win. If it was up to me, picking names out of a hat to win races every week, I'd love to see Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney and Bubba Wallace and Todd Gilliland and Noah Gragson and John Hunter Nemechek and Carson Hocevar. I would love to see these younger guys making their way into victory lane a little more often. I love seeing Christopher Bell win. I think seeing Christopher Bell win a lot this year has been fantastic. But I don't need to see 45 different new winners or whatever. I think that gets a little silly sometimes. Sometimes the best teams win, they win a lot. But always excited to have young blood come in and be competitive for a championship. I think that's good for the sport. It's good for us as fans. And a lot of these guys are buddies with each other on the track too. So it's a nice kind of environment to be in victory lane and on the track racing. It's cool. Is Elliot peaking at the right time or too soon? I think he's right on time. I think, you lock yourself into the next round, take some good momentum with you moving forward. The Roval's going to be rough, so at least he doesn't have to worry about that. But as time goes on, I'm sure this will translate into future momentum as they look to continue this run. Blaney versus Elliot championship showdown would be awesome. 2 lifetime friends competing for a title. I imagine the marketing around an Elliot Blaney Final Four appearance, being able to have that opportunity to have that on your, as part of your program, as part of your playoff. Bubba's had a great year too. I agree. I mean, whether you're a fan of him or not, or everybody's has their driver, but since that win at Indy, the 23 car and the 23 team has had a tremendous run of speed, and they've had a tremendous it's been tremendous what they've been able to do over the last however many weeks here and run the way that they have. I think there's a lot of great things happening for Bubba on and off the track that are contributing to his success right now. And if he can get a win in this format, the win in your in system, if he can get a win early in the year moving forward in his career, the opportunity, the runway for him to feel this feeling of relaxation that, okay, I'm in the playoffs. Let's go run races. Let's have fun. Let's take some chances. That seems like the situation. That seems like the situation where he thrives, because he's been thriving since the Brickyard. Oh, I was just talking about like how to see some younger guys end up in victory lane with Carson. I'd love to see Carson end up in victory lane. He almost found his way to victory lane a couple times this year. Not sure how I feel about Denny using up at the end. Yeah, it's just one of these deals where it don't feel good. It feels like it's a little silly, but it's just part of the racing. It's just part of the racing, I guess, But regardless, it's big dog chase. It's big dog chase Elliott in the next round of the playoffs. We've got Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney in the points for the playoff now. Let me see if I can pull up the screen. There we go. I don't know if that looks okay to everybody, but you got Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney here, locked in with their wins. Kyle Larson sitting in third, plus 54 to the good. Denny Hamlin plus 48 to the good. Denny Hamlin's still having a good day at Kansas despite the finish, won both stages. So there's good playoff points there. Then you got Christopher Bell, William Byron, Chase Briscoe, and Joey Logano up above the cut. I think if anybody, Joey Logano's kissing the ground that Bubba Wallace or that Denny Hamlin walks on, because if the 23 car goes on to win that's a new winner, and that puts Joey on the wrong side of the cut. So as you can see here, Chase Briscoe, Joey on the cut, and then Ross Chastain, Bubba Wallace, Tyler Reddick, and Austin Cindric, the 4 below the cut in that order. I don't know. Do we foresee any major changes here in the bottom 3 of the cars above the cut and the bottom 3 below the cut? I'm not discounting Austin Cindric or saying you couldn't go further than that, but realistically, to me, that's where we're kind of at. I think it's crazy that Chase Briscoe won Darlington and he's still sitting. He's only 21 points above the cut line. I think that's Banana Town. There we go. Next week is the Roval, right? So you think about who these drivers are and what their playoff position is. We haven't seen Denny run really well at the Roval, but as long as he can finish well, doesn't have to win, but if he finishes well, he'll be okay. We know Christopher Bell is pretty good at the Roval. Byron's been good. Briscoe's, these guys will be okay. Let's look up last year's Let's look up last year's Roval results. I want the 2024. Oh, that's because I typed in. So, okay, well, there we go. So last year, Kyle Larson won this race. Christopher Bell finished second. William Byron finished third. Austin Cindric finished fourth. So and then Chase Elliott finished fifth. So your top five last year is a who's who of playoff drivers this year. And Cindric has run better at road courses in the last few years. I think of his finish at Coda. I think earlier this year was better, but Penske might be bringing a rocket for Cindric this week. Did everyone forget he's very good on the road courses? Praying for a Logano exit. Not sure if I can handle a Vegas W. How do we feel about the 5 making it into the championship 4? He's got a good chance right now. I don't think, it's looking pretty good where he's sitting. Any more rumors on Carson Kvapil to Penske? And then Elliot, point racing last year, tied Larson for points in the race. Okay. I think you're right about Penske bringing a good car for Austin Cindric, especially with his performance here last year, a 4th place position. But I think you've got some folks in here who could spoil the pot for some of these playoff drivers, where you've got, the AJ Allmendingers, the Shane Van Gisbergens of the world. Joey Logano even finished this race 8th last year. Bubba finished in 9th. Ryan Blaney in 10th. Tyler Reddick, 11th. This is the race that Tyler Reddick just barely got the position he needed to advance, I think, last year. But there's also, this was the same deal where you've got people like Chase Briscoe who DNF'd last season. Different equipment, but, it'll be part of the Roval is just the attrition of it all. Where was McDowell and Buscher last season? Michael McDowell finished in 15th last season or at this race, and Chris Buescher finished in 17th in 2024 at the Charlotte Roval, the Bank of America Roval 400. So, this gives us a better view now of what the playoffs are going to be like and what the standings are going to give us moving forward in the Cup Series side. I'm going to remind everyone one more time, too, we're about 20 minutes away from the top of the hour to do this giveaway for this MTJ diecast, the championship, the Busch Series Championship diecast. If you would still like to enter, I have not picked names ahead of the stream. I'm going to pick them live on stream. So you can head over to Instagram at SlyJobSal, at ATYL Media. There's 2 posts about this car that you can follow the instructions. You can enter to win this along with the $25 NASCAR.Shop gift card and a Benzik Designs NASCAR diecast stand. It's a little 3-tiered stand. Those stands from Benzik are my favorite. I like them. Pretty good. Show off a lot of stuff if you got a lot of diecast. So add to the collection or start your collection, enter the giveaway. That is my spiel. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Let's see. What did my challenge look like? Yeah, look at my bracket. I was doing pretty good. I had Bowman. I flip-flopped Bowman for Cindric. I guess that was a tough one for me. So this is where Sal was sitting in the, let's see. There we go. You can kind of see them all now on screen. This is where Sal was sitting. I do giveaways. This is the first bigger giveaway that I've done. I did it on Instagram because some of our partners like NASCAR.Shop and Benzik Designs, they're more popular on Instagram. So I kept it to that, especially also too, that's a platform that I don't have as large of an audience on. So I try to kind of beef it up a little bit, but it's also a little tougher to do giveaways on TikTok, but I'm going to do in the future. I'm going to do TikTok stuff for giveaways. So this will not be the last thing you have an opportunity to win with Sal. As we develop kind of a content plan for next season, going into the off season, the audience will be consulted, and I will ask you all what you would like, because that is how we run things here. It's almost democratic. Almost. Like everything that's democratic, it's almost democratic. Anyway, I have in the next round here locked in to Vegas, Talladega, and Martinsville, Denny Hamlin, William Byron, Kyle Larson, Chase Briscoe, Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick, and Joseph Logano. So I'm already down bad because I did not select Chase Elliott to advance on to the next round of the playoffs. So what do I know? You're all listening to me. I'm an idiot. But no, I think maybe interchangeably. I think I was really hot on the Tyler Reddick dark horse run, and that he could have had an opportunity at Charlotte to lock himself in. And I feel like those two drivers, or even Joey, are drivers that could have been interchanged with the 9 this far into the year. I do think Denny Hamlin still wins the championship, though. That is what I have on my sheet. If we come over here, I'll move this window over. This is the 8 rounds of 8 and the rounds of 4 for me. It's Hamlin, Larson, Blaney, and Bell. That's not a hot take final 4. So it's, it is what it is. I knowing what I know now, the momentum the 9 has, we'll see. That car doesn't have to do anything at the Roval now, which is great for him. And he always runs fairly well at Las Vegas. Talladega is, a crapshoot, right? And then Martinsville, the Hendrick cars run like cars on fire. They run great at Martinsville. So you never know. Everyone's sleeping on Ross. I don't think people are sleeping. He is on the cut line. He's 13 points below the cut line. So there's a chance. Surely a chance. But I just don't think we've seen him searching around for a win in the playoffs yet. And people are kind of like, they're looking over here. They're looking up at the top of the screen for their guys to keep on a run. I think he's sleeping on himself, he said. What's up, Yancey? Good morning. How we doing? Welcome on in to the YouTube chat on the ATYL Media YouTube channel this morning. Yeah, talking a little round of 12. We head into the round of 8. 2 left. 2 in on the round of 8 on a win. I think Joey's the one who has to be the most concerned right now. But we've seen this before. We should know and should be surprised that Joseph Logano could put himself in a situation to win a championship. He runs right at the right time, and it works out really well for himself. Give me the 24 over the 12. I need to see a better run of speed out of the 24. I didn't love what I seen at Kansas. I didn't love what I seen at Kansas out of that. I'm a little concerned, and I like the 24. Hey, I'm willing to bet William gets knocked out. I think any of these bottom 3 here between Byron, Briscoe, and Logano, and these top 3 here in Chastain, Wallace, and Reddick, I think these are interchangeable. Now, I say that, right? And Austin Cindric finished 4th here last year. So that's just the product of the system is, when you're looking for these big Game 7 moments, these big headlines, oh my goodness, the most unlikely guy is the one who's going to advance to the next round. That's what this promotes, and that's what this is going to do. So, the cut line at the Roval, I spend more time looking at the points leaderboard than I do at the race. Like, the race is happening, but I want to know where these guys are moving around in terms of, 1 position gain, 2 positions gained, because it's going to matter even more. This is really a track where you see it come to crunch time, I think, more than others. If a Penske car makes it to Phoenix, might as well not race, just hand them the title. I think Ryan Blaney is going to be, of all the Penske cars, I think Ryan Blaney will find himself in the final 4 for me. We've seen what he can do. We've seen what those Penske cars can do. Yeah, the live points on the broadcast, I did see some of that this week. They've done a pretty good job of keeping up with that over the last few weeks, as it's definitely intensified a little bit more. Let's flip us back over here. Okay. So we have the Roval this weekend. And then in the top of the next hour, I want to talk about the Xfinity Series, because I just don't think anybody talks about that series enough online in general. And I should be talking about it more anyway, but I don't. but I should, because it's been a wonderful, wonderful deal in the Xfinity series. Seabell also struggling. I mean, he won Bristol, so it's like, I don't know. Like JGR Camp, he looked pretty good this weekend too. Finished second to Denny. Those JGR cars running fast. I thought he was the second fastest car out there this weekend, also behind Hamlin, behind the 11. But yeah, we're gonna go to the Roval. That's gonna be the Cup race for the round of 8. Yes, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. It's gonna be the Cup race for the round of 8. Then it'll be Las Vegas, Talladega, Martinsville, and Phoenix. So the Roval, I think, is just as big of a wild card to me as Talladega will be in a couple of weeks from now as well. You think Priest will be a winner next year? I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with that 60 car. I'll be honest with you. So in the off-track news, there was the lawsuit, right? That Legacy had settled with Rick Ware Racing to acquire that charter from them, that third charter. And that charter that Legacy is going to acquire is a charter that Rick Ware is leasing to RFK to run the 60 car this year. So what happens to the 60 car next year? The way it's understood right now, maybe there's something happening behind closed doors that would change the situation. I mean, I don't know much more than anybody else, but there has to be something cooking if Ryan Preece is going to continue on in an RFK ride. If that charter is going to go away, or maybe they'll run it as an open car. I don't know, but that's something that I'm thinking about. I like Ryan Preece. I think he's made leaps and bounds in the Cup Series since getting out of SHR. It's amazing to watch those drivers have left SHR and then do what they're doing now. Unfortunately, not working as well for Noah Gragson over at FRM, but what we've seen out of Briscoe and Priest this year, these guys, it's a totally different look. Totally different look. Was RFK hoping to get that NASCAR charter spoken about a few weeks ago? Potentially. I don't know. There's a lot of charters being spoken about, depending on what the charter system even looks like for next year, because there might not be a charter system next year. Junior Motorsport's going to get the charter. I don't think you'll ever see Junior buy a Cup charter, especially now in a tumultuous situation where charters, again, may not exist past this December court date between the teams and between 2311 and FRM and and NASCAR, the sanctioning body. If Austin Hill can make it through the Roval, the rest of the track set up decent for make a run at Phoenix. We'll talk about Xfinity here in about 10 minutes. That's my plan. We're going to do Cup and then Xfinity. I think Priest should go to Gibbs. I think he'd be great. I think if you put him in a competitive ride, he'd be just as his skill set, his skill level is top tier. I mean, the guy terrorized people in modifieds in the Northeast for how many years, just putting belt to ass for how long. He was unreal for a long time. So I appreciate everybody following along on the TikTok. If you're not following along, ATYL Media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter/X. You can also tune in there usually Monday morning. Today it's Tuesday. Conversation that NASCAR is going to make several new charters open for Dodge. Would Dodge deal RFK to Dodge? There are charters sitting that NASCAR holds on to, right? I don't think that's been a real secret, where if a new OE enters the sport, they will release these charters into the wild, and the OEs will have the opportunity to have a charter team. It's a good question. I don't know what they'll do with those charters. I don't know if Dodge is even interested in running at a Cup level. People kind of made that assumption after they saw Ram come back into the Truck Series, that the next logical step was Dodge to run in the Cup Series. And I understand where you would think that, but I don't think there's been a ton of conversation around that moving forward right now. Dom Joseph in the YouTube chat. Good morning, Dom. Hope you had a beautiful weekend in Kansas. OHIO. How'd your boys do this weekend, Dom? I don't watch college football. I have no idea. So, but I hope you woke up with a smile on your face. Ryan Priest's 2 NASCAR Xfinity Series wins came in Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas. Dom Joseph, ladies and gentlemen, in the YouTube chat, the walking NASCAR encyclopedia. If you can think it, Dom Joseph knows it. So you never know. I don't know. I don't think you're going to see Ryan Priest make a change right now. There has to be a space for him to make a change, but knowing that he's running Toyotas really fast, I think he's got that. You've seen his talent on display the last year here, especially. So, yeah. Speaking of OE changes, Chevrolet, yes, they are going to update the body on it. That's what I've heard. That's what I hear on the internet. I don't think they're going to come out with anything really crazy where it's going to be like, the Cadillac body and they're going to change or anything. Another big win for Ohio State. There you go. For Dom. I don't know what that means. I see people in Ohio State gear do that. So happy for Dom. Dom, how was your experience at Kansas this weekend? How'd you feel about it? Oh, see, this is a good conversation, right? We need Zilich to the 48. That's a good question. Hocevar could go to that car too. I'm thinking a lot about Corey Heim lately, not in a weird way. What are they going to do with that kid? Is he going to go to 2311 and take Herp's ride? Or is he going to go to Legacy in that third charter that they're going to pick up? I think he should go to Legacy. Eric Jones, John Hunter Nemechek, and Corey Heim on a team together would be crazy in the Cup Series. If Toyota lets Corey Heim escape from their system, just would be crazy. I don't know what the deal is with that car. That 35 this year has certainly been underwhelming in terms of performance. But when you see a lot of new cars added to the field with new Cup drivers, you hear young drivers talk about it where the first couple of years they're just told to do their best and run places on the track they feel like is a win for them. So maybe 30th is a win for them in certain situations. It's not what they want, but it's maybe what they're capable of. And it's a race within a race for some drivers. So I don't know much about what that situation is. I know that they want all their cars to be as competitive as possible, though. And if they feel that filling that seat with somebody who can drive the car up to the front or outdrive the equipment, I'm sure they'll look at that. I don't know. Dom Joseph, unbelievable finish, but better yet, we got a great battle. We got great battles throughout the field. Again, we got another next-gen classic at Kansas, and I'm pumped. I agree, Dom. I thought this was one of the better races of the year in general for the next-gen car, and I think Kansas is the track, the premier track for intermediates for this package. Do I want to run the championship here? No. I did get a little carried away in my comments, and somebody said, yeah, let's run the championship here. And I was like, I don't think it's, the final laps were fantastic, but I don't know if it's quite championship caliber. I think Homestead has all the elements you want, but we'll see. I don't know. I like it. It's cool. Mile and a half. More, please. Where is Suarez going? Is it JRM in this Xfinity Aspire 7-seat or what? Nobody knows 100% yet either. I don't think there's been many whispers about that since they just kind of broke that news that Zilich would move into that ride. I think there's kind of a conversation about, if you saw what he did earlier this year, right? Common sense. He ran with Junior a little bit this year. There's a connection there. And then I know that the 7 Spire ride is something that is being talked about. Poor Justin Haley is having to hear all this and see all this in the media unfold in front of him. I think Justin Haley's done pretty well for what that is, for what that equipment is, and for what he's been able to do. Carson Hocevar has gone into Spire and kind of set the bar now, where I don't think anybody expects Michael McDowell to go up there. He's supposed to be this veteran leader inside of the team. And then Hocevar's in there now doing things. And I don't know if the team is looking at Justin Haley and going, why aren't you doing things like that? But it's really, I think that's unfair to compare the two. They're two different drivers, two totally different situations, But yeah, we'll see. Maybe there's an opportunity there for Suarez. Anything is possible. Anything is possible. Let premier sponsors have a 36 race scheme. Denny and a Coca-Cola machine would be very marketable. I agree with you that I saw people talking about this on Twitter this weekend. Bring back full season sponsorships. And I love that idea. That's for me. But I just don't know financially if you would get folks to commit to that. But I agree with it. I think that for fans, it'd be great. I think there's that immediate brand awareness play that your driver drives the DuPont car or the Coca-Cola car or the whatever car. People then assign that brand awareness to a driver, and it's like, that's the move. This is one of my favorites. Mooresville Thrifting got this one, $10. I got to get some new ones for next year. Well, some new old ones. They don't sell button-ups like this anymore. The classics never go out of style, Blake. Never go out of style. Napa and Bass Pro doing the Lord's work. They keep their schemes consistent. Bass Pro even, like, was I getting a little seasick seeing Bass Pro on the 19 and on the 3 and not, sometimes you get a little confuzzled, but brand awareness, that play works. I think it works really well for people. I'd love to see full season sponsorship for cars. I think if you called up Joe Gibbs Racing and talked to their head sponsorship guy, they would love that. Their sales guy's got to write one contract for the year. Yeah, you got all 36, pal. Good. We'll see you next year. Car's taken care of. One of the 4 cars taken care of already. All he's got to do is keep his client happy now. He doesn't have to sell every 6 weeks. He's got to sell a new sponsorship for a car. I don't know. Somebody asked in here, who's getting the 5 Ram rides? There's so much conversation and there's leaks and there's all kinds of things. I don't think you're going to see like what the leaks have led us to believe, where you get the Tony Breidinger and the Cletus McFarlane and the Matt Craft and the Frankie Muniz and like the Butterbean. I don't think you're getting that 5. That's like all the Infinity Stones to me. I don't know. It'll be when we know. I don't think it'll be those people. I think that's just clickbait to me. But would love if Johnny Morris would tell us how much he paid to sponsor Chase Briscoe for the full schedule, right? And I think that would give people a lot of clarity on full season sponsorship, where it's like, this is what it costs for a full year to run that car. And you think about how big of a company Bass Pro Shops is, right? Let's find out. Okay, so let's just take a moment, right? Johnny Morris owns Bass Pro Shops, has a full season sponsorship with the 19 car. As of April of 2025, Bass Pro Shops is worth, Johnny Morris has an estimated net worth of $9.4 billion with a B. Billion. Okay. Johnny started Bass Pro Shops in 1972. It's a privately held company, meaning its stock is not available for purchase. Sells hunting, fishing, and outdoor merchandise. Owns Cabela's, acquired in 2017 for $5 billion, and White River Marine Group. Has over 170 stores, considered a leader in outdoor retail industry. Estimated net worth. Forbes estimates Johnny Morris is worth $9.4 billion. He's one of the wealthiest people in Missouri and holds the 302nd spot on the Forbes World's Billionaire list for 2025. That's a lot of money, guys. But if we have to rely if race teams are relying on $9.5 billion valued companies to sponsor 36 races, how many $9.5 billion companies are out there to commit to that that are interested in NASCAR sponsorship? Like, could Amazon have sponsored Chase Elliott for the year? Sure. Could they? We need a Walmart car. They could sponsor the whole field if they wanted to. I don't know. There's definitely some interesting opportunities. I feel like because NASCAR is such a national sport, the sponsorship is targeted to be like more regional, like Mohawk Construction on the 60 car. Like they're running that car a select number of races because they sold them a package, I would imagine, for a handful of races. And one of those races was New Hampshire. That's where Mohawk does business. So, you know, I didn't know what that was on Byron's car. Cincinnati something was Byron's scheme this weekend. It was just a big American flag. It looked great. I like the look of it on track. But. All right, kids. Top of the hour, 9 o'clock. Here we go. Are we ready for the giveaway? Here we go. 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 All right. I'm going to make sure. Hold on. I want to make sure people on Instagram know. Okay. All right. Here we are. Is everybody paying attention? Tell your friends. Real quick. Follow along. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Okay. Let me pull my screens down here. Hold on. We're going to prep it up. 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 Everybody on ATYL, pay attention. Here we go. I liked, followed, donated blood, and gave my left kidney as instructed. Thank you, Craig, for following such diligent instructions. Oh, man. Oh, man. All right. So I'm using a random comment generator. Let's see. So I'm using this. I don't want there to be anybody who is uncomfortable with how we do this. So I found a random comment generator. Oh, it says it at the bottom of the page here. Hold on. Because it's cropped. So it says start contest. So what I'm going to do is we did 2 posts on Instagram to promote this live. So I'm going to draw 2 names. And then we're going to put them into the wheel of names. And then the wheel will spin and select our winner. Now, if the individual who is selected is not here, that's okay. You will still win the diecast and the $25 gift card from NASCAR.Shop and the stand from Benzik Designs. However, if you do not, if I reach out to you via Instagram or we cannot contact one another within a certain amount of time, I will redraw the names on another set day and time. I am optimistic that will not happen. So I am not thinking about it right now. But we have a contingency plan just in case that is what happens. Okay, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. For the first name, all right. Damian Storch. Is that the name? Damian? Demian? Storch? Okay, Damian. I'm going to call him Damian. Damian will go into the wheel picker. Hold on. One more time. Okay, there he is. See it on Instagram. Just so everyone is happy with it. He was here on this post, the original post. That's the comment right there at the top. You can't see my cursor, but that was it right there. All right, kids. Now, we're going to go one more time because I did post it twice. It's not fair to not include the second post because people did exactly the same things I asked them to do in the first post on the second post. So that's going to be how this works. And we're going to run this again. And they will go head to head. A battle for the ages to select the winner of the giveaway. Okay, here we go. We're going to start the contest. Countdown happening right now, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. It's so tense. The pressure is so tense. Oh, that's me. You don't want to see me twice. You could cut it with a butter knife. Okay. Village Wingnut. All right, Village Wingnut. Here we go. Let's make sure we see it on Instagram. Let's confirm. There he is right here. Village Wingnut. There he is. Okay. Who do you got? We're taking bets now. We're taking wagers on who will win between Damien and the Village Wingnut, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Do-si-do, and away we go. It's Damien, ladies and gentlemen. Get some hot dogs in the chat for Damien. Damien is the winner of Martin Truex Jr. 2004 Busch Series diecast, the $25 NASCAR.Shop credit, and the Benzik Designs diecast stand. So big dubs in the chat for Damien. We'll reach out to him. And again, just because we've selected a winner, if I cannot get into contact with this individual, we will redraw the winner. I'm optimistic that that won't have to be the case, but if it is, we will pivot and we will do something. Do we like giveaways? Did we enjoy doing giveaways this time? I think it worked for what I wanted it to do. I think it brought a lot of new people onto Sal's content, and it kind of gave folks we're gonna go back to that Instagram post in a minute. Brought lots of people into the platform and into the channel, and gave some great exposure to our sponsors. Please, even if you didn't win and you're looking for NASCAR collectibles, check out NASCAR.Shop. If you're looking for diecast stands, please support Benzik Designs. He's a one-man band kind of small business. Does a lot of business on Etsy. You can use promo code ATYL20 at checkout and get a 20% discount on Benzik Designs diecast stands as well. So small business that support ATYL, that support Sal, that work in the industry, that are good for everyone. Don't go on Amazon and just buy whatever Prime suggested. There's folks out there in the local NASCAR racing world that are trying to do it also. So congratulations again to Damien. We'll reach out to Damien. We'll see what we can do. And again, if we don't get a winner, we'll draw again. But until such a time, here we are. But that puts us at just about 10 after 9. Cincinnati Incorporated is a metal fabrication and design business. Okay. I didn't know that. See how easy that? I love the wheel of names. I love that for me. I didn't know that. So that's kind of the difference with, we talking a little bit about full season sponsorships. One more thing I want to talk about before we move on to the Xfinity series, and I'm sure we'll loop back as folks want to have these conversations in the chat. But the 36 race playoff format has reappeared as something that may be an opportunity to be a reality. While it is wildly and highly unlikely that in the year of our Lord 2025, the sport goes back to a 36 race playoff format, I do want to share a thought with you all. And if you think I'm crazy, by all means, tell me I'm crazy. Tell me I'm dumb, because I already know I am. Anyway, I think the next gen car has a better case for a 36 race format now in the modern era, and the playoff format would have had a better case in the early 2000s Gen 4 car of tomorrow era. You can leave all that there. I'll eat it later. I think the playoff formats, if switched in time, we would have been better off for it. Imagine how competitive early 2000s NASCAR Cup racing would have been with a playoff format, where the disparity in teams and cars was so vast and so wide and so great that a playoff format would have been the great equalizer. Now you've got a car that is the great equalizer, and you need a longer playoff format to decide a champion. That is my take on my hot take on the way the playoffs are set up and the way that the playoffs could have been different in the past and how they can be different even now today in 2025 leading into next year. It seems almost as if, though, it is guaranteed. Jordan Bianchi, ladies and gentlemen, the Bianchi bomb. This isn't a new Bianchi bomb. This was a couple weeks back, but he alludes to the fact that there will be a shorter run or a longer run championship round where the Final Four will not be just one race. There will be more races in that round to help crown that champion. And that's something that I think is necessary. It's very similar to the 10-race chase. I think fans, this sport, unlike any other, is one where when fans complain loud enough, things happen. I see a lot of people online, fans always complain about something. Complain. All they do is complain. But it didn't work. People wouldn't do it. I mean, they would because Facebook exists, and my dad is of the ripe age where he's that kind of guy, you know? Love my dad. But, you know, this is what happens. This is what happens. But I do think there's an opportunity in the offseason, and it sounds like there's a lot of momentum, and there's a lot of conversation happening in these driver, like they have these councils, right, that help make these choices. And there's a lot of conversation in these councils that change is needed and that it may happen. And I think the tone of the fan and the tone of the industry in general, too, is that the win and you're in system kind of crowns Mickey Mouse champions. We're running to Talladega for a win and you're in. So now if the car was different, and the cars were harder to drive and things were different at Talladega, you know, when the Alabama gang was running versus right now, you know, maybe you don't need a win and you're in. Maybe you do. Who's to say? Different cars, different situation, different racing. So I think all they can do is adjust to what's happening now. I think it's what makes it so different from stick and ball sports, right? Where they've been using the same bat, the same ball, the same mud from that river in Jersey, you know, for pitchers and catchers and the same gloves. Nothing really changes. The athletes change themselves. The individuals change inside of sport. Basketball, the same ball, the same hoop, the same height, same material, the same size of the court. The NFL's got the same ball, the same field, the same lines, the same yardstick. It's all the same. In NASCAR, the cars change. Every however many cycles, a generation of car comes out, and it changes. And I think if you're going to do that, you have to be evolving with that. Whether that's doing a new system or evolution doesn't mean everything has to be new. The combination of things together can be this new thing. So I think that's something that they're looking at, and they're really putting a lot of attention into, and the earnest is on them to make a choice here in the offseason. I think you're not going to get anything on that until after the lawsuit's settled. I'll say that. But as time goes on, we'll see what happens. But optimistic. I'm still cautiously optimistic that we will get a 36 race playoff format. Okay. Anyway, can we talk about some Xfinity? We talk a lot about the Cup Series, and a lot of people on the internet talk about the Cup Series, but not enough people, in my opinion, talk about what is happening in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. And it is one of the best series. It is one of the best racing series out there. I think it's, consistently there have been better races in the Xfinity Series than in the Cup Series this year. This week at Kansas, Brandon Jones, fastest lap, sat on the pole, won this race. End to end, flag to flag, belt to ass beaten by Brandon Jones and that 20 team for Joe Gibbs Racing. Connor Zilic finishes in second. Austin Hill in third. Sammy Smith finishes in fourth. Sheldon Creed in the double O, still chasing down that first Xfinity win. I think he's got 15 second place finishes now. Finishes in the top 5. Taylor Gray in the 54. Jesse Love in 7th. Nick Sanchez in 8th. Brendan Butterbean Queen in his Xfinity debut in that 11 Kaulig machine finishes 9th. Dean Thompson in the 26 Sam Hunt Racing machine finishes in 10th. Some other folks here. Some really felt awful for Justin Bonsignor. He is a Northeast modified guy through and through, runs on the Smart Tour, has had some opportunities this year to step it up and compete in the Xfinity Series with Joe Gibbs Racing. He was in the top 10. A tear fell from my eye when I saw him crash into that inside wall. He was running inside the top 10 and just that's racing, I guess. Ends up boofing it into the inside wall, going down the backstretch, a little contact there, and ends his day early. But it's the way it goes, I guess. Sad for him, though. That is the top 10, though. William Swalch in 11th, Daniel Dye in 12th. Justin Allgaier finished 13th. I think it's worth mentioning because Justin Allgaier led a lot of these laps. Justin Allgaier was, to me, if I turned that race on at lap, 50, I would have told you he was going to win that race, head and shoulders above everybody else. Car looked great. He looked great. Everything was going great until it wasn't. Christian Eckes finishes 16th, and Carson Kvapil finishes in 15th. Roger Carruth ran in this race in the 17 for Hendrick. He finished in 18th. Harrison Burton, a playoff contender, finishes in 20th. And we're going to scroll over to playoff points here now as well for the Xfinity Series because these things have implications. Zilich is still safe. He advanced on points. So he's going to go on to the next round. He's still 85. Hold on. 85 points above the cut line. Oh, let's slide us over here. 85 points above the cut line. Or I'm sorry. He's 105 points to the good in the overall playoff standings. Yeah, something about the cars in the Xfinity Series. You're able to do more from an aero perspective. And I think that is what really gives them that edge and that excitement in terms of what they can do versus the Cup car. 100%. But Connor Zilich, Brandon Jones now locked into the next round. Has that win. Zilich, 105 points to the good. Justin Allgaier, 68 points to the good. Sam Mayer, 43 points to the good. Didn't have such a great day at Kansas, so good that he's in a position where he's still in the mix. Taylor Gray, Sheldon Creed, Carson Kvapil, Jesse Love sitting on the cut line to the good, 5 points. Nick Sanchez and Austin Hill, Harrison Burton and Sammy Smith sit below the cut line, but 14, Sammy Smith is in the worst position here. Out of the 12 drivers left, and he's only 14 points below the cut. So, this could be a mess for the drivers, but I guarantee you it's going to be a heck of a time for us as fans to watch this all unfold. Somebody earlier in the chat commented about, does this give Austin Hill a pathway to an Xfinity Series championship? Well, let's see what that pathway looks like for Austin Cindric, for Austin Hill. So they will race at the Roval. Then it's Vegas, Talladega, Martinsville, Phoenix. Just like the Cup schedule, just a little different in terms of the rounds. Yeah. But they will run at the Roval. I mean, last year in the Roval, let's see. Who ran well at the Roval last year? I don't know these things off the top of my head. Dom Joseph probably shaming me right now because he probably knows it off the top of his head. I got too many things. My brain just doesn't work. Just doesn't do it. Roval last year in the Xfinity Series, according to motorsport.com. Sam Mayer for Junior Motorsports won this race. AJ Allmendinger, Shane Van Gisbergen in the Call Xfinity entry. Austin Hill finished 4th in this race at the Roval. Chandler Smith, Parker Kligerman, Justin Allgaier finished in 7th. Josh Bilicki finished in 8th, racing for Joe Gibbs. Eric Almirola. Sammy Smith finished 10th. Brandon Jones finished 11th. Parker Rutzlaff, Cole Custer, and so on. But So, yes, when we talk about is Austin Hill a guy who maybe could make a run with these tracks that are coming up? Yeah, man, he could. I don't, to me, there is no one who is, it is Connor Zilich's championship to lose. And if I've said this over and over and over and over again, and I'll say it over and over and over again until I don't have to, until the season's over and we haven't crowned a champion in the Xfinity Series. But to win as many races in as dominant a fashion as Zilich has, it is the most deserving version of the thing when you talk about who should win the championship. The same goes for Corey Heim in the Truck Series. Corey Heim is to me, Connor Zilich and Corey Heim are the champions of their series already. We don't need to do any more. Now, I'm sure they will continue to have consistent runs of speed and consistent performances enough to secure that in the official way by winning, in Phoenix. But it's a wrap for me, Trucks were not in action this weekend. But Corey Heim and Lane Riggs have won the last two races. They have locked their way into the playoffs here in the round of 8 for the Truck Series. Super confusing. Cup Series is in round of 8. Xfinity Series is in round of 12. Truck Series is in round of 8. So can we just make it all the same? Can we just have the same schedule of breakout for the playoff for every series, so we all don't have to sit here and wonder who's where and what's where as we're talking about this and being just confused to high heaven? Because I am. I don't know if y'all are. I hear Denny Hamlin on Actions Detrimental. He's confused on it, and he races. So it's maybe we think about that when we talk about playoff changes next year. A little one, just a tweak. That's a tweak. That's easy. You include that at the bottom of a paragraph somewhere in a pitch deck. But no, Corey Heim, 69 points above the playoff cut line, 4 stage wins. Lane Riggs also with a win. Corey Heim with a win. Daniel Hemrick and Ty Majeski in that top 4 of that round of 8. Tyler Ankrum, Grant Enfinger, Rajah Caruth, and Caden Honeycutt wrap out the bottom 4. Now, again, Ty Majeski and Daniel Hemrick are 4th and 3rd, respectively, in above the cut. Daniel Hemrick in 3rd behind Riggs and Heim. These guys are well ahead in points in the Truck Series. Daniel Hemrick is +1 to the good, and Ty Majeski is 0 points. 0 points separate he and Tyler Ankrum right now. So basically, we're in a dead heat on the cut line. Now, that cutoff line, the drivers will be eliminated after. Hold on. This is on NASCAR's website, and you're telling me this information is old? Oh, no, it's not. I'm reading the wrong thing. I apologize, NASCAR.com. You have accurate information. The next 4 drivers will be cut after Martinsville on October 24th. I thought that said September 24th. It's been a long month. On October 24th. So that will be the next round of cuts in this series. But I'm going to tell you, if we're at a dead heat at the cutoff line between Majeski and Ankrum, and Enfinger's 3 points behind, and Rajah's only 5 points behind, and Honeycutt's only 7 points behind, based on the tracks coming up for these guys, and they're all fairly similar, right? The Cup Series to the Xfinity Series to the Truck Series when it comes to playoff time. They're all fairly running similar things. But you're going to get, again, they run other places. They ran, Richmond, and where they run. They ran IRP, and they run Lime Rock, and they run they had a points pair at North Wilkesboro earlier this year, and Rockingham. So the trucks have different things sometimes, but at this stage of the season, it's really not so different. But Roval, Talladega, Martinsville, and Phoenix are the final 4 races. We'll get our cut again after the 24th at Martinsville. So how many wins can Corey Heim pick up, though, before the end of the year? I think he's got a 10-win season in him. I think, Martinsville, he could walk away with if it's not a total disaster. Even the Roval, that car comes off the trailer every single week looking really, really fast. And I don't know. A lot of opportunities for Corey Heim and team to do something really fantastic here and win a championship in a really, really dominant fashion. So looking forward to more things in the truck series. I think we've got a lot happening there. It's just let's just lock it in. Let's get Corey Heim. Let's get that deal done. Let's get Connor Zilic. Let's get that deal done. There's some more competitive. There's some other cars that will be competitive in the Xfinity series as well, but it's just, yes, Zilic is running the number 7 for Spire in the trucks at the Roval. Yes. Yes, he is. I'm going to actually try to look up some talking points here really quick. I wrote some down, but we already covered them. But there's some off-track things that are happening, like Corey Heim. I'm sorry, not Corey Heim. Like Zilic running in the trucks. Oh, there's a new start time for the Xfinity race at Charlotte. It'll start at 5 p.m. 5 p.m. start time for the North Carolina 250 in the Xfinity series at the Roval. So they'll have to turn the lights on, right? It'll be a night Roval race or a late evening, afternoon Roval race. That's crazy. Anyway, I was at Kansas race. What a race. You got a treat, man. That was a great place to be. That looked like the race, the finish of the year, one of the finishes of the year, for sure. If Justin gets to Phoenix, Connor could be in trouble. It shouldn't be that way, though. Nah, it shouldn't be. But we know how well Justin Allgaier runs at Phoenix. He's a champion for a reason. John, people still watch NASCAR? Go to work. You can get out of here. Goodbye. Toodaloo Magoo. We don't need you in here fucking flapping the gums, John. I hate when people do that. People still watch it? Yeah, man. Everybody watches different stuff. Dumb. Don't bring that dumbness in here on me. It's too early in the week, too early in the morning to be so dumb. Anyway. Night Roval would be crazy in the Xfinity series, Yancey. I'm here for it 100%. 100%. Anyway, let's see if we can get some good updates here on some Roval things. The infield is fully lit. So based on that graphic that just was published a little bit ago here, they do have lighting in the interior of the track, according to Twitter. You take that for what you will. Let's see. We've got some entry lists here as well. So the Bank of America Roval 400 in the Cup Series. It is your typical cast of characters in the Cup Series for the Roval. I think there's only one new kind of entry. That'll be Josh Balicki running in this Garage 66 entry. He'll run at the Roval, which is different based on the rest of this schedule. Everybody else, it's the regular Cup field, the class of the Cup field out here. But Josh Balicki will jump into the 66 car and do the Lord's work. He ran really well here last time out. So, like Josh, good people. Hope good things for him. It'll be good in the 66. Okay. New things in Xfinity Series. We've got Connor Mozak driving the 9 car. Daniel Hemrick's driving the 11 this weekend in the Roval race. Kaz Gralla running in the 24 for Sam Hunt this weekend. Is Sage Karam? No. Yeah. Sage Karam's running in the 53. I don't know if that's a new entry, but that feels like a new name that I'm not familiar with. Preston Pardis as well, running in the 50. They have Dean Thompson listed twice, or is my eyeball's not working right? My eyeball's not working right. Okay. But no, that's, Alex Labe will run in the SS Greenlight 07. But, some different additions. But I think the Truck Series one is going to be, there's a TBA driver for Young's Motorsports in the Truck Series, for the 2 truck. Brent Cruz will run the number 1 into Tricon Garage entry. Connor Zilich will run in Inspire Motorsports number 7. We'll have Will Rogers running for Young Motorsports, the 20 truck. Mason Maggio will run the 33. Josh Balicki will do double duty Truck Series and Cup Series. He'll run the 41 truck for Nice Motorsports. But other than that, it's Corey LaJoie is in the 177 for Spire. Is that a typo, or that's got to be a typo? That's got to be a typo. I don't know. Maybe it's not. Always like to mention Timmy Hill being in the Truck Series. Big fans of him. He'll run for Hill Motorsports. Wesley Slimp will run for Halmar Friesen in the 62. Got some interesting guys popping in and out here to run at the Roval. Also, Chris Wright will run for McNally Higgleman Racing. McNally Higgleman Racing went to their budget sheet this year, and they said, we got a couple extra race cars. We need somebody to wreck them into the outside wall. Somebody call that Chris Wright fella. Get him in here. Chris Wright will pilot the number 16 McNally Higgleman Racing Chevrolet Silverado in the Truck Series at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Road Course Roval for this coming weekend. So that is some updates to the roster for Roval. Anyway, Winston asked in the chat, is there any updates on the 2311 charter news? Nothing is new, as just the fact that they are going to continue on the way that they are, and that they will go to court in December. So the last update was that the judge had denied the preliminary injunction again, which would have reverted 2311 and FRM to chartered status, right? So they're still going to run as open teams. They have lost that chartered status technically, but in the same ruling, the judge also strongly encouraged NASCAR not to sell the charters out from under the teams, which I think makes a lot of sense. You can't count your chickens before they hatch, right? So if NASCAR were to sell those charters out from underneath of them and not have the ability to give them back to them in the event that they do lose a lawsuit, and that is what is ruled. I'm not saying that's what will happen. That all that will happen is they give them back and we all go home happy. I think there's going to be much more that comes with it than just that. But that's kind of the latest update. There hasn't been a ton of rumbling that's happened. I think you'll see more as the season goes on and we get closer to that December court date. But it has certainly been one of the hottest things out there in terms of headlines and talking points this season. So I appreciate you bringing it up, because it's been one that's been very it's captured a lot of attention in the industry and for the fan base this year. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Very interesting to see what happens there. Anyway, I do want to touch on, we got about 20 minutes left. Is there anything in the chat that we'd like to chat about? Do other series run? Sorry, Yancey. John's mother didn't love him. John, we sent John away. Do other series run the Roval? I've never really heard of it. You mean like series outside of NASCAR? Or like series like Cup Xfinity Truck? I don't think anybody runs it besides Cup Xfinity Truck. I don't think there's like a deal where do the Miatas run it? The MX-5 series might run it. There might be some IMSA. There might be some IMSA that runs it. I feel like they do some GT3 testing there. I don't think it hasn't become like a Rolex 24 kind of feeling where there's some higher profile series that are going to the Roval to run endurance or to run other things. But I know that there is some, maybe there is. Let's find out. Is anybody going to be at the Roval this weekend? There was a conversation I had with a friend to potentially take a ride down there this weekend, kind of a last minute trip idea to go see the Roval firsthand. Little trip to Charlotte, drive down on Saturday, drive back on Monday. I hate driving that far, but I have been trying to get to this Roval race 2 years in a row now. I've said, yeah, we're going to go. And I haven't gone. So I don't know if it's a me problem for sure. But this weekend for me, if I don't do the Roval, is super modifieds racing at Wall Stadium Speedway. Let me tell you, we had a heck of a weekend at Wall Stadium Speedway this past weekend. Something else I want to start talking about a little bit more as I get more time watching modifieds is modified racing to me is some of the best racing out there, but it's just not, people don't look at it. They don't see it. And I don't know how many disciplines of motorsports people want to be fans of, but for me, I think if you're gonna expand beyond the traditional box of Cup, Xfinity, and Truck, modified racing to me is like, if you like circles, this is great stuff. They're, and for those who are unfamiliar, modifieds are basically they're basically late model stock cars with no bodies on them. So you think about that, like that's the very dumbed down version. Somebody who's a modified guy would punch me in the face if hearing me make that comparison based on all the intricacies that make them different. But that's the way I can kind of blanket statement it. We had a great weekend at Wall. Yeah. Talk to me about a burnout like that. That is a one Mr. Tyler Truex, ladies and gentlemen, winning the Wall Stadium Speedway Track Championship. This year for 2025. Burned it down too. I haven't seen a good modified burnout like that up close in a long time. As soon as they finished that race, I went running down from the tower to go shoot a little social media video on Victory Lane because that was one of the best celebrations we've had all year at the track. And I tried to send that in for my submission for burnout of the week to Kevin Harvick. I don't know if he got my tweet. I tweeted at them. I don't know if do people look at that? Do celebrities still look at the common folk and see their tweets? We'll find out on Happy Hour Pod this week. I'm not holding my breath, but yeah, an awesome race, awesome racing there all season long. They have concluded their points racing season, so we're doing some fun things in the super modified series, which for those who are unfamiliar, super modified race cars are insane. I can hear the voice in my head of a one Mr. Anthony Cecily who races all over in the Northeast too. But they're essentially just modified cars that, like, if a sprint car and an Indy car had a baby, this is kind of what it would look like. Or if a modified and a dirt sprint car had a baby, this is that. Like, you have to have a set to feel like you're gonna, like, they're sitting on like the engine. The engine is offset. Like, these cars are crazy. They're crazy cars. Let's see if I can find a little video clip here. if you're watching on the TikTok, you'll get a chance to see a little bit of a video clip as we go along here. But we're going to turn the volume off here. This was a run at Oswego. Look at these things. That's crazy. But this is what we'll have out at Wall Stadium this weekend. I can't miss it. I feel like I can't miss it. Like, I'm hoping to do some more content in the off season about some of the different racing series that I enjoy, doing some more explainer stuff about modifieds and about super modifieds, and even like TQ cars. I don't know if people are really familiar with those. TQ cars are like the small cars, but they run indoor, outdoor. Ryan Flores runs those a lot. If you know Ryan from Stack and Penny's podcast, he runs TQs all over the place too in his free time. They're really cool and they're really scary fast, especially indoors. They're really, really fast, but they run those at a lot of regional short tracks as well. So that's something I love to help shed some more light on is modified racing and super modified racing and things like that. I think the hard part for a lot of these series is like super mods. Not many people own them. Like there's not a lot of them out there. Like it's not a series that travels well, I guess is a good way to put it. You know, it's expensive. They're expensive to own and operate and maintain. And like if you're just doing a short track circuit, or local track circuits, like the purses aren't going to be as much of a return as if you were running maybe on a bigger national level. But the racing is undeniably some of the most entertaining stuff that you can get out there. So it's really cool. Even in the modifieds, like I'd love to, Flow Sports to me is really expensive. For somebody who's not, I'm not going to watch every race on Flow Sports. I think what they do for the racing is great. I'm here for it. But I would love to be able to watch a full season of the Wheel and Modified Tour. I would love to be able to watch that a full season of that and really understand, like, get a better picture for the racing, even outside of what I've seen at Wall. So, yeah, no, super mods are super fun. We're going to get those next week, as well as TQs will run next week at Wall. So if you're in the Northeast, if you're in the New Jersey, Pennsylvania metro area, and it feels like it's close enough, come on down to the Roar at the Jersey Shore at Wall Stadium. They'll do I think we're coming to the close of the season. They'll do a demolition derby the week after that. And then we're already talking about Turkey Derby. At the end of November, there is the Turkey Derby. The modifieds will run November 27th, 28th, the weekend after Thanksgiving. Pretty nuts that they run this late in the year. It's cold. Most times it's cold. Yeah, so practice will start November 22nd. You get a practice day the 22nd, the 23rd, and then the Turkey Derby itself will run Friday and Saturday, November 28th and 29th. Friday, the Wall Modifieds will run. The factory stocks, 4 cylinders, the Legends, limited late models will also run. Saturday, the Tour Mods come out. The TQs come out. The 602 Sportsman cars come out. So a little bit of a beefier Sportsman package. And then the All-Pro Speedsters. I don't know what that is, to be really honest with you. But we'll get that as well here, local racing in Sal's World. So if you want to come into Sal's World, this is the place to do it. But that's gonna about wrap it up for me today. I don't have too much more to really. I mean, I could sit on here for 3 hours and really dive into some of the off-track stuff that's been going on. Rodney Childers is joining Junior Motorsports. That's happening. That's cool. That's news. That'll be a big thing for Junior Motorsports in that one car. I guess he's going to also work with Zilich a little bit to some extent, whatever he does with the Xfinity team. The Chase win was big. Yeah, the Chase win was big. It's dominated. It's dominated the weekend in a good way. I think it's a good thing for Chase and his team and for everybody involved. They've been they've been hammering away all year. And I just think they took so much criticism. Again, I said this earlier. They took so much criticism that it's only right that they end up with a win like this at this stage of the year. All right, let's run through a couple of quick headlines, though, in other places. Shane Van Gisbergen, again, we talked about earlier, first top 10 on an oval. So that's big news. Is the Cup field in trouble? I don't know. Dale Blaney becomes the oldest World of Outlaws winner at 61 years old. That was a cool one. Yes, Blaney, the same as Dave Blaney and Ryan Blaney. Is Chase Briscoe the new Ryan Newman? Habitual pole sitter, Chase Briscoe. Pretty wild that he has been able to win. What is it? This weekend was his 7th pole of the year. We did talk a little bit about Martin Truex Jr. and the memorabilia that was for sale. That was really early on. There was some stuff that popped up on Facebook Marketplace from a very reputable like sheet metal and collectibles reseller. I guess some wires got crossed, and as Martin was cleaning out his home in North Carolina, a friend of his was assisting him with that. I guess the friend thought that those things were gifted to him and that he could do what he wanted with them, including trying to sell them. So that was not the case, apparently. And I am fairly certain that Martin and his team are working with them to get those items back. But yeah, that was a wild story, and then it kind of resolved itself. Does the 22 make it out of the round of 12? It's going to be tough. It's going to be tight. This is the same race last year that Alex Bowman got DQ'd from so that Joey advanced. So I think if you look at Austin Cindric and the way Penske has been with him at the Roval, they know how to roll a good car out of the trailer there and run really well at the Roval. Cindric finished P4 last year at the Roval. Logano finished, I believe, P7 last year. So they can run well. It's just going to be a matter of what everybody else does. But he sure could make it out of the round of 12. Has anybody been excited about NASCAR 25? The game? I'm going to get it. We're going to play it right here. This is our off-season content plan on the TikTok, and is to really get into some more get back into the iRacing, get back into the gaming side of this, especially with this newer car. We're still going to do our Heat 5 stream too. We're going to do that. I'm going to announce that coming up when I have a free day. We're going to do a full long day of Heat 5. I will become the most undisputed, greatest NASCAR Heat 5 streamer in the history of the known universe before we move on to NASCAR 2025. And I rescind my title. A lot of people too this week talking about, post New Hampshire, talking about a lot of the viewership issues for NASCAR. They were down in a big way. I think it was like 1.8 million viewers. They're down to 1.29 million viewers. So that's a big hit for the sport and the TV deal. And I think you heard Denny Hamlin talk about on Access Detrimental a little bit this week in the TV deals. And I think he hit the nail on the head where the TV deals that the sport is going with are finance focused. It's not focused on how do we get more eyeballs on the sport, on the product. It's who's going to pay us the most money to do the thing. And everybody's got a byline and everybody's got a budget they got to run. Sport's got to make money. But the longer term play feels like, okay, maybe we take less of a cut, but get more races on NBC versus USA. That seems like it makes sense. But everybody's got to get their bag. And believe me, the people at NASCAR, they ain't struggling. If you're working for them, if you're a decision maker of that caliber, a 10th floor decision maker, as it would be. Any rumors of HMS moving on from Bowman? There's nothing that's concrete. There's nothing that's real there yet. It's talked about always. They'll always kind of put him in the corner as the fourth car, which is unique, but there's no real solid evidence of a change coming for that 48 team. As of now, if there's going to be a change at HMS, though, I would imagine that that's going to be the place that they go first. But there's nothing that tells us There's nothing that indicates to us at this time that that will be something that happens in the short term. I am excited for NASCAR 25 though. Graphics, I'm looking at some of the graphics again here. Graphics look good. Graphics look really good. I don't know. People complain. It's never going to be 1,000,000% perfect the way that everyone wants it. And for people who want that simulator experience, iRacing will still be there to fill that void still. So I think the gaming side of it is important because this is how we're introducing a generation of fan to the sport, like through gaming and through iRacing and through social media and all of that. So I think it's really important for it to be done right. Like we can't go backwards to the old NASCAR gaming days of like Ignition, and that was newer, but we can't go back to that. It has to be better. So, but I'm really optimistic. I'm hoping that they'll have some great integrations in that game for leagues and for online racing. I think there's definitely something to that is missed at a casual level versus iRacing, where it's like, okay, we're going to do a little bit of bumping and banging, and then you're in the wall and the race is over and you spent 2 hours in a lobby for nothing. Yeah, I'm glad to see something more in the middle. Let's see. Anything else cool or notable that we're missing right now? Someone will always complain about the product, gaming, and on track. Well, of course, yeah. It's always the case that it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but I think overall it's in a better place now than it's been in a very long time in terms of the digital side. And even the product on track, like, does everybody want to go back and live the glory days and see the Gen 4s and the 87s kind of be the thing again? Like, was that racing really good? Yeah, that racing was really good. But I think the racing product now isn't as bad as people complain about it to be. Is it great at short tracks? Not really. Is it getting better? Yes. Is it great at super speedways? Depends. Is it getting better a little at a time? Yes. Are intermediates good races? Yes. Is it getting better? Yes. So it's all moving kind of in the right direction to me. And I think it will continue to move in the right direction. But, there's so much to compare against that it gives people like this false sense of what the sport should be. But I think, just be happy cars are on track. That's what it's all about. So on that note, I'm going to wish you all a happy Roval week. Oh, sorry, Yancey. I just clicked back. What platform? The game releases, NASCAR 25 will release first for console coming up here in October. And then it will release later in the year for PC in November. So if you are running on I will run it on PC. I am not going to go out and purchase a console for this game. That is never what's going to happen. But if there's an opportunity to play this, I'm going to. If I can get some earlier pre-order access to it, I will try to do that. But we've got some time. Crossplay is something they're talking about, that's being talked about for future updates. So as I guess they see as they see like what user base is going to be, I'm sure there will be some pivots and some updates as the game comes out, and there are things that happen moving forward into the holiday season, because they'll want it to be really primed and perfect by the holiday season to make sure that game is something that's in people's stockings, that's under the Christmas tree this year. So a lot of exciting things for that game and for everybody. But on that note, I am going to leave you all with a happy Roval week. I hope everybody has a wonderful, productive week. It's going to be great racing under the lights for the Xfinity Series, but great things to look forward to. A lot of cut line racing happening, a lot of excitement. And I don't know. We're in for a great weekend. We'll see what happens, everybody. But again, follow along ATYL Media, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter /X. as well as Sly Job Sal on TikTok. Congratulations to Damien again, winning the giveaway. We'll reach out to Damien. And again, if I can't get a hold of Damien, I will redraw, and I'll announce that on Instagram, and I'll probably do something here on TikTok and with the ATYL Media channels as well. So appreciate everybody for sticking in there in the chat. Yancey, Dom, Kodiak, Winston, everybody who popped in, stopped in, dropped in. Thank you for being a part of the show each and every week, and we hope you come back for more. So follow along, tell your friends, and we'll see you next week.